Chuck Schumer, who's joining us now. Quite a big difference from just a few weeks ago, huh?
Oh, man, are we cooking.
We cooking?
I have been at every convention since 1984. None is as happy, none is as unified, and none is as committing to win as this one.
Wow.
We're going all the way.
That's right.
It is so great, I cannot tell you.
Even more than 08?
More than 08
wow.
even,
Wow.
because you know why? We have the positive. We have Kamala, we have Walz, but you know there's a negative. We cannot let that son of a gun get back into office.
Yeah.
So it's both ways.
Say bitch, man. Say son of a bitch. It's okay. It's okay, Chuck.
Son of a gun.
I'm going to tell you, that president is no effing good. How's that?
Yeah.
That's better.
You know, Senator, you
That's
introduced.
I'm from Brooklyn. You know, we use these words.
I already know.
That's why he
I know.
was trying to urge you on, I think.
You know, I like that you introduced the No Kings Act after the Supreme Court presidential
Yeah, thank
immunity
you.
ruling. And in light of the Supreme Court's recent rulings, how concerned are you about them potentially interfering in this election? Because you know Donald Trump is going to challenge it.
You bet. Trump has no principles. He has no morals. He will do anything he can to win, no matter what corner he has to cut, no matter how many rules and laws he has to break. That's why he's going to go to jail, but because of the previous stuff he's done.
That's right.
And so let me just say, we are vigilant. We got the best election lawyers on the case. We are training thousands of lawyers. We are making sure on election day they don't screw around and deter people from voting. You know what they used to do? They used to send out in African-American neighborhoods, voting day has been changed, vote Thursday.
Yep.
These guys won't stop at anything.
At
That's
anything.
what the Republicans used to do. But we are now prepared. We were not prepared years ago. We are.
Majority Leader Schumer, you know, one question that I have for you based on what you just said, I think is so important because folks regularly are donating to campaigns or to campaign committees, and you just talked about training a bunch of lawyers. Is that some of the ways that you all are using the contributions?
This money is used in every way. Obviously TV, obviously digital, but we're getting out the vote. You know, the best way to get out the vote, particularly among our young people who aren't voting that much, knocking on doors and explaining it. Better than an ad, better than anything. We're putting close to half our money into door knocking and talking to people, but we're also putting our money into just what Charlamagne said, and that is preventing them from stealing this election. They'll stop at nothing.
Why aren't more people in your position just calling out the Supreme Court as an illegitimate institution at this point?
They should. You know, the right wing, these very rich, greedy people who didn't want to pay any taxes, who didn't want the government to do any, you know, they said, I built my company with my own hands, although half of them inherited it.
Yeah.
And they
That's right.
said,
Yeah.
how dare your government tell me how I ought to treat my workers, my customers, or the land and air and water that I own. That's what they did. And they realized, Charlamagne, that they couldn't get this done even when they controlled the elected branches of government, House, Senate, because there was, and President, because there was so far to the effing right, so far to the right. And so they tried to take over the courts. We have an obligation to try and stop them. The Supreme Court is a morass. Now, who would have thought of this? The ethics of that court.
Yeah.
So these rich people are paying for cars, for trips. At the same time, they're paying somebody some law firm to go to a lawyer and make their case. That is outrageous. And I'll tell you who we should blame, among others. The Chief Justice John Roberts, who once said he's calling balls and strikes, he could stop this with the flick of his pen. Where the hell is he?
Leader
How do we
Schumer,
go ahead.
I just want. So the president has made it a stated goal to get reform on the Supreme Court. What's your prognosis for between now, lame duck, and obviously a new presidency?
Lame duck will be hard because the Republicans control the House. A few right-wingers seem to run the show. And they will stop at nothing to keep the court the way it is. But if we, and please vote, if we keep the Senate, win the House, win the presidency, Supreme Court reform is going to be at the top of our agenda. Because we cannot let these unelected people take away women's rights, take away others' rights. You know, we talk about freedom.
Yeah.
They used to talk about freedom. They don't believe in freedom. We do.
That's
But
right.
we also believe in economic freedom. We believe you should have a good education so you can get a decent job. Freedom to be able to pick your job. We talk about freedom to be able to afford a house. You know, one of the great things Kamala just did is this. Young people, a lot of young people have enough money to pay the monthly mortgage, but they don't have any money for the down payment.
Yeah.
No one can save that much these days. And so what she said, what Kamala said, is very simple. $25,000 the federal government, if you're a first-time home buyer, to help you with that down payment. People, when they hear that, particularly the younger people, and we have to make sure vote, they're going to love that. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah. I knew her in the Senate. She was great.
Do you support? I'm sorry, go ahead, Tiff.
No, I was actually going to piggyback on your question about the court. Charlamagne called it an illegitimate institution, and I have to echo that sentiment. For the people out there who may not understand the severity of what the power of this court and what they've done, what specifically can be done as soon as possible? Do we expand the courts? That has to go through the Senate if we do. I mean, because at this point, our democratic institutions are corroding.
As I said, the first step in getting rid of the morass on the court is to vote. Because if they keep the House, if they win the Senate, or if they win the presidency, any one of the three, they will block it. They will fight for this court. But once we get it, there are a lot of proposals out there on the table. There's expanding the court. There's term limits. I have a proposal that's much simpler. It's limiting their jurisdiction in certain areas. Justice Alito said Congress can't regulate the courts. Well, pardon me, sir, Mr. Justice. You didn't either read or understand the Constitution.
That's right.
It says it explicitly in there.
That's right.
And so we can do that relatively easily and limit the kind of jurisdiction that they have.
Yeah. But the expansion,
that's
the fact
in
that
the
you've
Constitution.
got a justice who's prepared to expand the power of the court through their own word or through their own written opinion.
Absolutely.
With no accountability, no teeth in ethics. No way to hold them accountable.
And in the past, maybe people said they'll never get it done. Well, we saw what happened with choice.
Absolutely.
We heard what one of the justices, I think it was, I can't remember which one, maybe it was Justice Thomas. He said next is gay rights.
He sure did.
And gay marriage.
But he's not going to go after biracial marriage.
Interracial.
Interracial marriage. He's not going to go after either one.
You never know what these guys will do.
But he can't.
Right.
He got Jenny.
Bixby doesn't know who he is.
The hypocrisy of these folks is so
overwhelming.
You can't hold them to any standard of consistency. Look at this. When Mitch McConnell said that you can't vote on a justice within about 6 months before the election.
A
year.
And then there was another vacancy.
That's right.
And he put someone in a month before. They have no consistency. They will do anything to keep this court intact because they know that their agenda is so far to the right that no one will accept it in the elected branches. This has to be, you are right, this has to be one of our biggest fights.
That's right.
But doesn't it take more courage from Democrats when it comes to situations like that? Like Democrats have a reputation for being cowards because they don't push back on things like that.
Hey, Charlamagne, I'm from Brooklyn. We fight.
So I want to just say Senator Schumer's staff is waving him down so hard he almost lost his train of thought. He actually has to go.
I am afraid of my staff.
I know.
Don't know about
so did Governor Whitmer. So we are so grateful for your time tonight. Thank you, Majority Leader Schumer. We are looking forward to.
Let me just say, folks, on to victory. We must win.
We have to.
The future of this country, the future of the world,
and democracy
depends on this. And by the way, can I just say one of the very first things we're going to do if we get the power is put the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the Freedom to Vote Act on the floor of the Senate, changing those rules, and we will get it done.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, leader.
I hope we can count on reparations too.
We appreciate it.
We'd like to see it.
I echo your sentiment.
Justice and policing, we need all that. Thank you, Senator Schumer.
Be careful.
We got a big agenda.
We need to be in there. Thank you so much.
Last time we had the power, we had the most successful Congress, most successful presidency. Give Joe Biden credit.
That's right.
Since Johnson and maybe since Roosevelt. It'll happen again, even more. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yes, sir. We're not trying to get tased by your team, so you got to be careful.
Be careful.